Okay, well, it's 6:30 and I'm gonna call the meeting to order. We'll do a roll call, starting with Brian.
Brian Lundgren here.
Jonathan Mix.
Laura Warfield.
Dennis Sutherland.
Okay, next thing we have on the agenda, and I didn't even realize this till I viewed the agenda a few days back. Election of officers for the 2025-2026 fiscal year. I cannot believe the year has gone by already.
Yeah.
So, the two officers that it looks like that we have to fill are president and vice president. So currently, as you know, I'm president and Brian is vice president. So does anybody have any nominations that they want to make for the office of president, or does anybody want to volunteer?
Easy.
I would move that we keep the way it goes.
I was just gonna say I volunteer to be vice president.
Well, you can cover for me, right? Okay, so it looks like.
President.
Okay, does anybody want to second that?
I'll second.
Okay, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, looks like for another year, Arlene, I'll be president. Thank you. And Ron will be vice president. Thank you, Kay. All right, that part's done. Okay, next thing we need to do is, do we have any visitors here that would like to speak about issues that are not on the agenda? Okay, just look like that. So we'll move on past that. And now we need to approve the June 11th, 2025 minutes. Has everybody had a chance to review those? And anybody want to make a motion to approve those?
I'll make a motion to approve it.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, minutes have been approved. So now the next thing we need to do is move into the public hearing. So I'm going to open the public hearing by reading the statement of rights and relevance. First off, I need to ask if any commissioners had any conflict of interest, ex parte contact, bias, or conducted a site visitation of the property in discussion tonight.
Properties in discussion. My mailman still hasn't received my mail from yesterday. So I don't get,
I picked this up on my way here.
yeah, when my mailman does, mail lady shows up, same one goes to yours, dinner doesn't come to my house till 8 o'clock. She hadn't even taken out my mail to go out
Oh,
from yesterday.
okay, well,
Sanskrit's not on anybody's map.
oh, okay. Okay, well, I don't think anybody has had any conflict of interest or anything like that, so, okay, so we can,
There's no work, lots of sunshine.
we can move on to read the statement of rights and relevance. All testimony or evidence presented toward the request being heard must be directed toward the relevant criteria contained in the Toledo municipal codes, to other city plans or policies, or to other criteria which a person believes pertains to the request. All persons shall raise issues with sufficient clarity so as to allow the planning commission or others an adequate opportunity to respond to or resolve the issue. Failure to address a criterion before the close of the hearing record precludes an appeal to the Land Use Board of Appeals based on that criterion. Failure by the applicant no later than the close of the hearing record to raise constitutional or other issues relating to the proposed conditions of approval with sufficient specificity to allow the city to respond to the issues will preclude an action for damages based on those issues in the circuit court. Prior to the close of the evidentiary record of this hearing, a participant may request an opportunity to present additional evidence, arguments, or testimony regarding the application. If a participant requests such an opportunity prior to the close of the evidentiary record, Then the planning commission will either continue the hearing for at least 7 days or leave the record open for at least 7 days to allow the submission of additional written evidence, arguments, or testimony. An appeal from an action or ruling by the planning commission can be made to the city council within 14 days after the date of the planning commission's decision or ruling by filing a written notice and paying the appeal fee. The date of the planning commission decision is the date the order is signed. If no appeal is taken within the 14-day period, the action or ruling of the planning commission shall be final. If an appeal is filed, the council shall receive a report and recommendation from the appropriate city official and shall hold a public hearing. In order to have standing for an appeal, a person must have been mailed written notice or have participated in writing or in person at the planning commission public hearing or have been substantially affected by the action or ruling. This is for all of the public hearing items being presented on the agenda. Okay, so we are opening the hearing for the public hearing for a subdivision to create 7 lots for property located at Northwest Fifth Street, Business Highway 20, Bay Boulevard, file number SD-1-25, requested by Dewey and Carol Goodell. So this is where I turn this over to Justin for the staff report.
Thank you, Cora. And yeah, and again, first off, apologies on the mail timing. We submit the packets to the mailman on Thursday, but it's been really slow. So our goal is to start to get those on Wednesdays. Or have available, it's always available for pickup too, if you want a printed copy as well. And then let us know too, if you're not getting, I know a lot of people don't like to read on a screen all the packet, but if you're not getting those emails, let us know too.
That's how I reviewed mine this time, was through the email.
Yeah, and if you want to pick up a packet before, we're happy to print those out in the future as well. But our goal now is going to be Wednesday to give a little bit more time to get it through the mail, because we've struggled with the timing there. But now I'll kind of jump to the staff report. Planning Commissioner Warfield kind of covered some of the basics in terms of the address and location, and I would recommend everyone pull out attachment A that's in the packet. And that's a good map of the property, so it'd be helpful to maybe pull that out as I'm kind of going through and describing the lot.
Oh, that must be back on like the last page or something.
Yeah,
Oh, there's attachments.
yeah, it should be towards the back of the staff report. I think technically page 22, right around there. But that'll help as I'm kind of describing the different lots. So this is a subdivision application for properties approximately 6.7 acres and it'll create 7 lots is the proposal. That parent parcel, so the existing parcel is 8 buildings. 3 of the proposed lots will have existing single family dwellings on each of those lots, and that would be lot 3, 4, and 5 on the map. So those smaller lots on the north side. And then 4 lots will have more commercial and industrial buildings. So there's the art store on lot 2, the car wash on lot 1, and then kind of the 2 truck industrial lots on lots 6 and 7, the proposal. So currently, as it stands, all of those kind of uses are currently on 1 lot. So the proposal is to divide it and have those uses on separate lots. And kind of there's a variation in size all the way down from the 2,600 square feet all the way up to about 3.5 acres, which makes sense for the industrial lots to be the larger lots. So it's zoned light industrial and commercial. The lot 1, the car wash lot, that's the commercial lot. The remainder of those lots are industrial zoning. And I'll kind of get into that in more detail later in the staff report. Kind of described the different uses on the lots, and so in terms of development constraints, the lots already pretty well developed currently. And there is a drainage way that crosses lots 6 and 7 leading to Depot Slough. That drainage ditch was identified we did a review of our local wetlands inventory, and it's shown on our local wetlands inventory. And we also, which was printed out over there, I think there's copies over there.
We didn't get those out.
Oh, okay. I'll just, we're required to submit a wetland land use notification whenever there's proximity to wetlands. They basically, the summary of that wetland land use notification is that the property's pretty well developed and they don't believe there's wetlands on the property, except for there's that drainage ditch, which was identified on the Toledo local wetlands inventory. The property's predominantly in the floodplain. Most of it is in the floodplain, so any future development would have to meet floodplain standards moving forward. City, obviously it's developed, so city water and sewer are available and connected to the buildings. And then kind of the standard notice was sent to the neighbors and surrounding property owners as part of the process. And kind of jumping to page 4 or 3, sorry, talking about the light industrial zone. So those, I mentioned I was going to talk about the uses a little bit more, but many of the existing uses are considered legal non-conforming uses. So proposed lots 1 and 2 would be commercial, car wash and car parts store. And proposed lots 3, 4, and 5 will be those residential uses. So those would still be considered legal non-conforming lots because they would have the industrial zone. Property owner indicated in the pre-app meeting that in the future they may pursue a zone change and a comp plan change to make those residentially zoned lots. So that could be that's not part of the proposal today, but that could be reviewed in the future. And then the proposed lot 6 and 7, those larger industrial lots, those predominantly already conforming lots because those are more industrial uses on those lots. And kind of moving forward to page 4, we're looking at kind of the compliance with our comprehensive plan. So in this case, we focused on urbanization and economic development chapter of our comp plan. For the urbanization, this property is already adjacent to city streets, minimizing the need for additional infrastructure. I'll get into a little bit more into the Northwest 5th Street, which has historically been called Northwest 5th Street, but it's never been dedicated or there's no public right-of-way easement. So that's part of this proposal is that would be dedicated. And then the subdivision is promoting economic development. It'll allow kind of those uses in the future to be, once they're divided, it's completed, to be sold off separately and be maintained as their individual kind of uses on the lots. So the minimum design standards, moving down on page 4, just one note. So the city did update the subdivision chapter. However, this application was received prior to that update being finalized. So the applicant elected to use the old subdivision code. So we're currently processing this under what we're calling the old subdivision code because they submitted it prior to that update. It's kind of getting into the roads a little bit more. So Bay Boulevard there, that's a county road, Business Highway 20 city, and then Northwest 5th Street is that undedicated roadway. 5th Street is proposed to be dedicated to the city based on review of the tax lot map. The roadway is predominantly on the neighbor's north lots. However, the applicant provided documentation of a surveyor's error in the area that's proposed to be dedicated from the Goodell property for that Northwest Fifth Street dedication. And you can see that on that attachment A, and there's some additional maps also in the packet as well. But Business Highway 20, that's built out with sidewalks. Bay Boulevard's built out, but only has sidewalks on a portion of Bay Boulevard. And then moving on to page 6, which talks a little bit more about the roads. The applicant's proposing to do deferred maintenance or development agreements for the Bay Boulevard and Fifth Street. So those will have to be signed and recorded prior to a final plat being approved. So that's part of the process. Street system. Now I'm gonna focus on the lot standards, so that's all under it'll be page 7 and 8. So each property, as it's proposed, they'll all have street frontage, the required amount of street frontage. There is one lot 6, that actually ends up having what's called double frontage, so it has frontage on Bay Boulevard and up to Northwest Fifth Street. So there will just be a condition of approval in there that when future development occur, they can't basically use that as a through street, so they can't have the double access point. Right now, Bay Boulevard's the only access point, so it's not, the goal there is that you don't have just a throughput that's private, that's creating that double frontage. In the future, if that's split off, you could have a portion on Northwest Fifth and then a portion on Bay Boulevard. And then lot 1 is the corner lot, which isn't considered a double frontage lot, it's considered a corner lot. Lines are as perpendicular as possible. These aren't flag lots, and it meets that lot to depth standard. Kind of high level in terms of meeting those standards there. And then I mentioned that the DSL, the Department of State Land submittal. And so that's just a standard condition of approval that will be in as part of the approval process, is getting any permits if they were required. And then, yeah, and kind of getting into more details on those travel lanes for Northwest Fifth Street, they're proposed to be 40 for the majority of it, and then 35 for a short portion of it, where those, kind of with those existing houses, it had to be a little bit of a smaller width for a portion. No subdivision phasing. This is kind of all being proposed to be completed at once, so that's met. And then the applicant will have to show, and they've shown on the preliminary plat, those easements, but any sort of easements for water, sewer, that'll all have to be shown on the final plat. And that'll be a condition of approval. I'm trying to get through it as fast as I can and also giving you guys as much detail as possible. So one important thing when the lots are being divided and there's existing development, there's no setback standards within the industrial zone, but as it's shown, we're not crossing any building lines as part of the proposal. So that's kind of what we're checking to make sure we're not creating a lot where a building's half and half on a lot. So that's as it's shown. That's not occurring on the plat. And then kind of getting into the findings, kind of repeat some of what I've talked about, but so staff does recommend approval with conditions. The final plat, it basically needs to be in conformance with the application that was submitted today. And it has to be submitted within 12 months or a year of this approval. So there's a deadline for submitting the final plat. And in the case of subdivisions, under the old code, it's a little different than partitions. The subdivision has to get reviewed by the city manager and city staff And then once it looks good, it'll be brought back to planning commission for final sign off. And then once that occurs and it comes back, say in November to the planning commission, there's a 30-day window to get that final plat recorded, with the county. Other conditions I've kind of mentioned, protecting all easements. That double frontage lot, preventing access from the northwest Fifth Street side, but maintaining the Bay Boulevard side on that lot 6. Any future development would be reviewed by the Public Works Department for any road improvements or access. Any driveway modifications similar, if it's on the county side, the county would review. If the city side, the city is reviewing. And then that northwest Fifth Street dedication needs to occur. And since the the subdivision is from the Goodell side, that as indicated on the plat, all that dedication needs to come from the Goodell property for that dedication. And then, yeah, those, and as I mentioned, the Department of State Lands condition, mainly applying to that drainage easement. And I think that covers the majority and those deferred maintenance agreements that I mentioned would have to be signed before a final plat can be approved.
Dewey, what's your idea of doing there? I mean, what do you got in mind? 50 houses back here, or I mean, wait after you're done?
No, just sell those little houses.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, you can, actually, that's a good
So I
time.
was just wondering, I mean,
yeah.
so it boils down to just selling them houses.
The houses and well, Napa's piece, that
Yeah,
Ken gonna buy that.
okay, and then where the old Chevron was?
Yeah,
You want to come up to the mic and state your name, actually, so they have it in the record.
okay.
Then we'll be moving.
Time for applicant testimony.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. No, that's
I
okay.
don't want to jump ahead.
That's
I just read it. Well,
Okay, I'm Dewey Goodell, and yeah, what we want to do is, all we want is our piece that we've had our shop on there since 1980.
yeah,
And we want to sell the old shop, Mitchell's Inn, and
yeah,
everything else.
okay, yeah.
That's all we're looking for.
Right, and
That's the only reason I bought that place.
yeah, right. You access the bay side of the road from basically the bridge clear up to lot, what is it, lot 1 of
Yeah.
the car wash now.
Yeah,
And you've accessed the whole goddamn thing from there
right,
from day one.
yeah.
So, I mean, that's not a problem. So I don't see, so it's just basically mumbo jumbo talk, line lot adjustment type stuff and things like that. And ain't nobody gonna go check. There's no boots on the ground, so whatever you put down on the paper is what it's gonna be.
Yeah.
So,
Well,
I
Dave,
know between.
Dave's got it all.
Carolyn.
it's pretty well
And,
mapped out, so.
Can we return to order, please? The order of the meeting.
that's what we're
You're
doing.
having a conversation.
Yeah, no, thank you, John, and we'll have time for kind of
I didn't
questions.
think that was a
Commission.
conversation. I thought we were discussing.
No, it's okay. So just with the public meetings, law, how it's structured, we'll have the applicant testimony, and in this case, we won't probably have any opponent testimony, but we'll let the property owner, Mr. Godot, Dewey go. And then we can kind of move through, and then there'll be questions that the commission can ask later. And then there can be a little bit more back and forth, but yeah.
What more you want out of me?
Anything else on the proposal? You can be short and sweet or long, but yeah, there's.
I think I said it. That's what we want to do, is we want to chop it all up, sell the 3 little houses. Napa's property is one chunk. Ken owns that building. He's buying that chunk. We want to sell the car wash lot and the lot where the Mitchell truck shop is.
Mhm.
And we want to keep our chunk that my dad put that shop there in 1980.
Thanks, dude.
Yes. Sounds good. Any other proponent testimony? Anybody else wants to talk?
That would be Dave, if you have
Do
any.
you have anything you want to add or?
I think Dewey said what we're gonna do, so.
Okay, all right. Like Justin said, it doesn't look like there's any opponent testimony. Any other interested parties that would like to speak at all? No rebuttal by the applicant because no opponents have been speaking. So it looks like now we have, we're to the point where there's questions by the commission.
Yeah.
The only question that I have is, I just wanted to, I'm sure that you were aware of all of the conditions. I mean, there was quite a
Yeah,
list and you guys are in agreement and you're aware of what's gonna be asked on that.
well, yeah, to a certain point,
Okay,
yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
I was just, I thought there were quite a few here, so I just wanted to make sure that it's, that seems like a lot, but, so, okay, that was just my question.
Yeah.
But wanted to make sure that you were aware of all that.
I mean, you know, there's some of it I'm not gonna agree with.
Well, sure,
So.
Yeah.
Just,
yeah,
So, okay, one thing I don't like is how where those two little houses are, it jumps out 5 feet into the street, so the street's losing 5 feet basically. I can see a problem with parking or whatever there, but it's light industrial, so those are non-conforming. And they can be right up to the property line, so it would kind of suck to live there and have the street right out the front door, but
those houses have been there since the late 1800s too, so.
yeah, and then that's Steenkolt's driveway too, right? That goes to the back.
Yeah.
So that's really the only thing I don't like is how this jump out, but I don't see where. It's not a main road.
To kind of answer that question, historically, it was never a dedicated street, so it's kind of improving it, but it's, yeah, since those houses were built so long ago, it makes it difficult to make it perfect. If we were working from a blank slate, we would have it to where there wasn't that jog.
Yeah, I understand that. I understand the reason. But it's stating I don't like it.
Yeah, that's,
but that is gonna be dedicated as Fifth Street eventually, or is that in your report you were talking about that?
yeah, so the proposal is that that would be dedicated as Northwest Fifth Street.
That's
Yeah,
Fifth Street, so it'll have like a street sign on it and that type of thing.
yeah, and there would be the deferred maintenance agreement signed with it. And so it'd be as is, and then, but it's dedicated, because historically I'm sure most people probably thought it was a street, but it was never officially ever dedicated.
That's good. Good. Anybody else have any more questions? Uh-huh.
You can state your name for the record, but then.
Standard, yes. My name is Tracy Mix. I'm here in Toledo, Oregon, and my only question was dedicating that street, does that mean that the city picks up the maintenance on it and will pay, be able to pave it and do all those things? Does that mean the city owns the street at that point?
Yeah, so the street would be dedicated to the city. At the same time, there would be the deferred.
And so that will allow the city to do much needed new improvements on the street. If there's potholes and stuff, we can actually go in there and fix them. So that's an improvement, big time. Because the owners, sometimes they can and can't maintain those things. So that's a positive. So anyway, that answered my question.
Okay, no other commissioners have any questions? Sorry for it. Well, no, that's okay. I mean, no. That's what we're doing here. We're asking the questions. Okay, so I guess that ends the public hearing. So I'll go ahead and close that public hearing now. And the commissioners can now deliberate as to what we want to do moving forward, how you're gonna vote, if anybody wants to read the motion. Justin, if we have the motion, somebody reads the motion. We don't need to read though with that motion, all of these conditions, do we?
No, just the proposed motion.
Just the proposed motion, because it will say, it'll reference the conditions.
That's correct.
Okay, all right. Does anybody have any other comments? Anything they want to talk about? Or anything? No?
I propose a motion to give Dewey what he's asking for.
Okay, on page 21, if you want to read that motion. There's the proposed motion, the verbiage. For that on page 21.
I don't know how long it is, but
Oh, it's just this, it's right here. It's this. If you, the all caps.
there's no numbers on these pages.
Oh, you want me to find it for you?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I can do that. Let's see. It's right here at the top of the page there.
Okay, I make the motion that, proposed motion of SD 1 25 based on the testimony received, the staff report and evidence and arguments before the planning commission at the public hearing on August 13th, 2025. The planning commission finds that the request by Dewey and Carrie Goodell and Dave Loomis, authorized agent of SD 1 25, complies with the criteria identified in Toledo Municipal Code Title 16 and 17, including the criteria identified in the Toledo Municipal Code Section 16.08.070. The planning commission hereby adopts the staff report as findings, as well as the proposed conditions of approval for SD 1 25 and allowing for the correction of the typographical and grammatical errors.
Anybody wants to? Okay. Okay, all those in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, motion passes. So congratulations. Yay.
You can work with us, Dave. And once you have the final plat ready, we can start to review it and we'll work on the deferred maintenance agreement, so. Within probably 2 weeks, we should have a draft to you.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's good.
thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, okay, all right.
Hi, Carol. Hi, Denise. Hi, so good to see you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay, next thing that we have on the agenda are the discussion items, updates and reports.
Yeah, I can kind of
Leave that to
slowly run
Justin.
through each of those and, Dennis, I did wanna kind of, I know it feels really rigid in terms of those public meeting structure, but the main, in a setting like this where there's not like a lot of opponents, it's not kind of as big of a deal, but kind of if we ever got appeal for an application, it's important that we just kind of stick to the order that Cora has. So there's always that time for questions, but we kind of give the applicant or opponents time first, and maybe some of the questions get answered in there, and then it's the questions time.
I'm gonna do this.
Yeah, it just, I know it feels really rigid, but the main reason is just protecting us from any sort of appeal. Obviously, no opponents in this case, but yeah, that's the,
No, that's fine, yeah.
yeah. Just wanted to,
Learn.
no, and yeah, it's always hard because we don't have meetings every month where we have the structure, but what we can do next time actually is because Cora is the only one that has the actual structure right in front of you, so we can print it out for
And maybe
everyone.
that would be helpful for everybody,
Yeah.
because I honestly didn't really like know the structure
Yeah,
totally
I know.
until
Yeah,
you see this
yeah. I think
listed
it's-
out
I
here.
thought it's not a discussion point or something. I don't know.
Yeah, and so what we'll do is to make it a lot easier, next time there's a hearing, we'll print that out for everyone so everybody
Sure.
can kind of follow along.
Yeah.
But yeah, you didn't do anything wrong, and Jonathan, thanks for jumping in
Yeah.
there, but
Yeah, I don't wanna
yeah.
go in the wrong direction. Definitely not.
So I know that's not on the discussions, but I want to just
No,
quickly
that's perfect.
touch on that really
I'd
quick.
be corrected in going the wrong way.
Yeah, and we'll probably do it again at some point, but we've had
I'm sure it won't be the first time.
we've done trainings too that occur usually once every year or so, so we can plan to have another one of those. Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you.
And the next, so traffic calming, this is meant to be an introduction to set up for next month. This will kind of be our main topic, is the traffic calming discussion. So when we say kind of all I want to do is kind of define some things and get you guys, the planning commission members, brainstorming for the next meeting, and we'll have a more official presentation and go through options and process of how this potentially could occur in the city. But essentially, traffic calming, the main thing you might think of are speed bumps or speed humps, which are often wider. Speed tables, which are kind of a little bit of a bigger infrastructure improvement, but it's kind of the whole intersection is raised up as you kind of come to it. But basically that's kind of one way of traffic calming. Another way is there's I don't know if roundabouts would work anywhere, but there's also small roundabouts for kind of neighborhood settings that you may have seen in some cities, where it's basically forcing the driver to slow down a little bit if there's any speeding concerns. So there's different, and there's what's called a bulb out, and that's where the sidewalk, you often see this in downtown, juts out a bit so that it narrows the roadway, so that it forces people to drive slower because you're expecting more pedestrians in that setting. So there's different kind of ways that traffic calming can occur. Right now, the city, like many smaller cities, we don't necessarily have a process to request a speed bump or a speed table and then it be evaluated by Public Works. But kind of what my understanding is kind of looking at this to figure out if there's a pathway for the city to maybe create a process that then can be reviewed for these traffic calming options, essentially. Because we have a city councilor here that can talk to it more, but kind of that, from what I heard from David, was coming from city council as a concern in terms of some of the speeding, but the traffic calming is a way that you can kind of there's obviously the police enforcement side, but then there's kind of road improvements that could be made. So it's an introduction to these different options and what process maybe could be created moving forward for traffic calming, and feel free to jump in and add more detail and context.
Yeah, this is kind of arisen because we've had a couple residents, there's been some streets where people just don't seem to want to obey the speed limit. The residential areas with lots of children, and we've had a couple concerned citizens that lives on those streets that have come forward and asked a couple of times, hey, can we get a speed bump on the street? But there's no process for them to do that. So we need to, this is something that we are very appreciative that you guys are going to be working on, so that we can get those processes in place, and then we can be able to, when this arises, Public Works can go out there and assess, and then we can, have that process in place for how to do this. That's what you guys are doing, correct? Yeah. So that's kind of where this is coming from. One of them is Gaither Way, and I can't remember what the other street is, but I know that Gaither Way's come up a couple times. So that's, I think, where this is risen from. Do you guys have any other questions for me?
I have a question. We just do trenches? like a trench. So that it's-
Water bars, John, you wanna do water bars in the
Yeah,
city?
instead of a pump.
I have not heard of those, I think because of the drainage
I was
challenges.
halfway joking, but like, you know, if you don't fix the potholes or if they put in a sewer pipe across the street, you know, and it has that dip,
Mhm,
that would do the same thing.
yeah, those.
Maybe cheaper.
I actually know of this because one of my neighbors asked me if I would get behind it. Cause I live on the corner of Seventh and Fir, no, Sixth and Fir. And people do speed past there, like tire screeching all the time. And that might actually work though, cause like the drainage actually goes right down to the park.
Your neighbors with us.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'd have to look into that one more in terms of if cities have gone that route. But I have heard of dips like that causing damage to cars in terms of like if they hit them too fast, so.
Well, the speed bumps do the same thing if they take them too fast.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just kind of the other way, you know,
Yeah,
you
and then
wait and take out your oil pans.
Real big humps
And like what's on the, what Ocean View in
by the
Newport,
hospital.
those big ones that they put in, those speed
Oh,
humps,
The jumps.
those are big.
I mean, they turn into jumps. Those big ones. So you want them
Right.
sharp so they like are gonna mess up their suspension if they go too fast. And so. I don't know, it was just
Yeah.
a suggestion.
No, something to think about. I mean, yeah, we need to probably do something. It would worry me a little bit if you're talking about Gaither Way. If you put something on Gaither Way, which would be great, because I understand that that's a smaller residential neighborhood
really is.
street, you know, and there's usually kids there. But then they probably bypass it and go down, isn't that Fur on the other? So it's all,
We're talking about the ask was for both ends. And if that doesn't stop it, the side streets too, the ends of the side streets going in together. These kids riding their bikes on that street all the time, out there running and playing, going to the park, I mean, and people just go zooming down there like they don't care. So, I mean, I definitely understand the ask, I get it, we just need a process by which we can do something. So I think that's where we depend on you guys. So,
okay.
And I think that would be, we kind of evaluate some options, create the process to where there's a form as a request, and then somehow that involves probably some sort of kind of neighborhood involvement, and then public works review for any sort of proposal. And then we'd have to figure out there's the cost component too, in terms of budget wise, if how that gets paid for long term. So those are kind of the things that we want to talk about, is the full kind of process. But I think we can make it nimble enough in a way, because I've seen some of these processes get created by cities and it becomes this huge barrier to even get in the door to get something done. So I think, in my opinion, we want to create, there needs to be a process, but we don't want to make it a big barrier to actually having something get put down on the street. But still making sure Public Works looks at it, that it's safe and everything. They're gonna be the experts there.
I wonder if incorporating something like a public hearing process so the community people can get behind it, say yay or nay, what they want.
Mhm.
I don't know, that, you guys have lots of options.
Yeah.
I got something else, any word on the bathrooms at Memorial Field?
I do not know exactly what's holding that up. You might reach out to Brian Lorimore. I know he's working on it.
Insurance company, I mean,
Yes, but I think there's something else holding it up. And it might be,
but
I don't know, Brian, do you, or
2 years?
Justin, do you remember what?
Yeah, so there's draft plans in, but it has been a fight with the insurance
Yeah.
company back and forth. So that's, I think, the main piece. And then it is in the floodplain there. So it has to meet flood standards.
Those new FEMA floodplain,
yeah,
that's making a mess of things. But you know, what I got in trouble for calling retarded, but it's making a real mess.
yeah, that's,
So it's thrown another stitch in there, so to speak.
But Brian is working hard to move that forward.
several years
I know.
and
Yep, they're working hard on it. I do know that though.
yeah.
But And just when you come up against another wall and then another wall and you have to try to figure out how to get over it, around it or under it, it takes time. So, the city unfortunately has to follow those laws
Right.
like everybody else does.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't have a problem giving him a call.
He can give you more information, definitely, Dennis.
I'm calling the insurance company.
Huh?
I mean, calling the insurance.
We need them to keep insuring us, Dennis. All right, I better go sit down.
Thank you, Council.
Absolutely.
That's very helpful to have you here to have some more
Of course.
context. David gave me a little bit, but I feel like I was still needed more.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That's no problem. I have no problem.
Yeah. And I'm gonna jump to the grant updates if that's okay. So a couple of quick updates. So if you haven't been by Arcadia Park, the courts were resurfaced there. So take your family out and use those courts. So they were recently got resurfaced, so they look really good out there.
I do look at it.
So that, and they'll have, I can't remember which side, but there'll also be some pickleball nets that can be put in, because they're set up as the 2 tennis courts, but kind of now the popular thing is pickleball. So those will be able to be set up too for, if that's what people want to use the courts for. So that's resurfaced and complete. And then so that was kind of the last piece of that Oregon Parks and Rec grant that we had for the park improvements. So that now that that's finalized, we can work to close the chapter on that grant. And then the Safe Routes to School grant, those speed signs, we're working, Brian and I, to try and get some challenges. It gets a little darker on the coast in terms of the winter months. So the solar panels were working okay, but not perfect. So we're working on potentially having those hardwired in. In that there was a little bit of funding left in the grant to be able to complete that, but we're as long as that quote comes in okay for that final. So that's kind of the last piece, is get those hardwired in. And then the other part of that grant was on 10th Street down, there was the improved crosswalk there that was done as part of the grant. But that part's good, but it's just hardwiring those speed signs in, because we had some issues with them, the batteries dying and when it wasn't sunny. Any questions on the Safe Routes to School or the Parks grant? No. Right. And then the next, actually, I'll touch on, no, let's go in order. There's the building permit log. That's in there. That's just for information only. I know it's hard to kind of look at this and know that you have questions right away, but if you look at this later on, you can feel free to reach out to Arlene or I, or come to the next planning commission meeting with questions on specific projects. But this is just a way to know everything that's in the last 6 months that's been submitted. So any initial questions on this? Definitely, if something comes up later, you're driving by something, let us know.
You know, question.
Yeah,
So I see there's a tree removal permit. Is that required on all tree removals, or is that just?
in the right of way, yeah.
Okay, is that,
Nope, I just have one other one that's not on here. It kind of can fall under either staff comments or other. But that natural hazards mitigation plan that we reviewed a few months back now and added a few kind of action items for the city of Toledo side. So now that's in the official public comment period for that. We'll be putting it on the website and sending out a social media post, and then it'll also be shared with city council. And then we'll share the link with planning commission members. But basically there's a draft documents and then there's a survey that you can fill out if you want and share with anyone to review. But that's available and it's technically a county-led plan, so it's on the county webpage, but we'll have a link that we'll put on our webpage and highlight it on social media from the city side as well. So we will I'll work with Arlene to get an email out tomorrow on that.
Okay. Okay, any other staff comments?
For me, Arlene.
No. Okay. Any commissioner comments?
Mm,
Well, I have a question and a comment. My question, I don't know if everybody got this thing in the mail from Dave Gomberg. I just had a question. Toledo received $640,000 for housing infrastructure. And I just wondered what that was earmarked for.
Yeah, so that's related to, so the Olala Meadows project that planning commission reviewed on Sturtevant. The apartment complex, so that's tied to that project for water line upgrades. There was a traffic study and then sewer lining for a short section that was there. To prevent leaks essentially for a short section. So that's what that was earmarked for.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it's tied to that project.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And my comment is, I sat on an interview committee with John Robinson last week, I think, or I don't know, week before, whenever it was, for the city manager. And John Robinson was the guy that's building those apartments on A Street. And he was telling me that, you know, we've had questions all along as to those seem to kind of stall a little bit. Well, basically, they're pretty much ready, except for he was waiting on Howry to do some work because they're ready to pave, they paved the parking lot. But he said he was gonna be ready for an open house soon. And so I told him I'd like to see them, you know, once they were all done and all that. So I think he's gonna let us know, he might let you guys know.
Yeah, and
Maybe that he's gonna be doing an open house.
and I think that's his plan. The main thing we'll just have to I'll have to work with Arlene and Krista probably to notice that there's possible quorum if more than basically if 4 of you showed up at the open house. So the main thing is that we get the notice too, so we can send out the notice just in case there happens to be quorum, either city council or planning commission members at the open house.
I thought the way he talked, he was gonna let you guys know.
Yeah, he mentioned it, but he didn't give me a date.
Yeah, he didn't have a date. He said it was kind of, you know, like now he's waiting for them to get to working on the driveway or the pavement, the parking lot, but I'm kind of anxious to see him. He talks about that he put some high quality stuff in there, so.
Yeah, I actually was there today, kind of reviewing some last checks. They have so he has his building permit, certificate of occupancy, and internally he's just doing cosmetic stuff, I would call it, blinds and stuff like that. And then, yeah, he's waiting on the paving for the driveway. It's predominantly what he's waiting on, but yeah, I would say they look really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they do. Okay, well, that's all I wanted to ask about. So, okay, I guess if there's nothing else anybody wants to bring up, I'll adjourn the meeting.
Dennis, I'm always more